there also exists an extraordinary opportunity to form for the first time in history a truly global society.
The present window of opportunity during which a truly peaceful and interdependent world order might be built will not be here for too long.
Are you optimistic a global system can happen from what we've heard so far?
It could happen, and in fact it's in the works.
A new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror, stronger in the pursuit of justice, and more secure in the quest for peace. And today that new world is struggling to be born.
And the World Trade Center, okay? It wasn't the Iraqis that knocked down the World Trade Center.
A new world order can emerge, a new era.
Didn't have any markings on it, I saw.
No, I didn't see it. The second one, it didn't have, like those camouflage things,
No emblems, no logos.
It didn't look like an airliner wing.
This one did it on purpose.
Okay.
A black plane. Yeah, we see it going around. He went. Yeah, we just saw it.
And the plane wasn't no airline or anything. It was a twin-engine, big gray plane.
When you saw the second one happen, what did it look like?
And it was a small and much smaller plane, but someone said it looked like a military plane, but I'm not sure. I don't know much about airplanes. It was like a military plane. It was a military plane.
Could be a drone aircraft. That's an aircraft that's guided electronically to its target without having a pilot.
A world quite different from the one we've known. A world where the rule of law supplants the rule of the jungle. A world in which nations recognize the shared responsibility for freedom and justice. A world where the strong respect the rights of the weak.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be.
I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind.
It wasn't the Iraqis that knocked down the World Trade Center. We went after Iraq, we decimated the country, Iran's taken over, okay. But it wasn't the Iraqis. You will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center, because they have papers in there that are very secret.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant.
Papers in there that are very secret.
Repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
You will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center, because they have papers in there that are very secret.
We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind, peace and security.
The word peacekeeping does not appear in the Charter of the United Nations. But for the past 7 decades, our collective ability to maintain international peace and security.
And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
It wasn't the Iraqis that knocked down the World Trade Center.
Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
You will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center because they have papers in there that are very secret.
Never before has a new world order had to be assembled from so many different perceptions or on so global a scale.
A false flag attack is a covert operation designed to trick people into believing that the operation or attack was carried out by a party other than the people who actually planned and executed the operation. The term itself comes from the old days when naval ships used to identify each other by the flags that they were flying. False flag operations typically result in horrifying casualties that get blamed on a political enemy. The attacks are used as justification to start wars with the enemies being framed. Other false flag operations are designed to condition the people to accept draconian laws in the name of safety or national security. Sometimes, a false flag operation manipulates an enemy into taking an action that can then be used as pretext to put a predetermined plan into motion, including the possibility of going to war. Examples of false flag attacks include the sinking of the Lusitania to get the United States to enter World War I, baiting the Japanese into attacking Pearl Harbor to justify entering World War II, the alleged torpedo attack against U.S. Navy ships in the Gulf of Tonkin to get us into the Vietnam War, and of course, the September 11th attacks to justify a massive global war on terror. Smaller-scale false flag attacks include the 1953 Operation Ajax, in which the CIA overthrew the government of Iran to gain control of the nation's oil fields. COINTELPRO, a series of operations between the 1950s and 70s in which the FBI used provocateurs to commit violent acts to blame on political activists. Operation Gladio A, in which the CIA initiated a number of terrorist attacks between the 1960s to the 1980s in their propaganda war against the communists. And the list goes on.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world.
What is the proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
On Monday, George W. Bush will campaign in South Carolina for his brother. As you said tonight, and you've often said, the Iraq War and your opposition to it was a sign of your good judgment. In 2008, in an interview with Wolf Blitzer talking about President George W. Bush's conduct for the war, you said you were surprised that Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi didn't try to impeach him. You said, quote, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing, close quote. When you were asked what you meant by that, you said, for the war. For the war. He lied. He got us into the war with lies. Do you still believe President Bush should be impeached? Should have been impeached?
First of all, I have to say, as a businessman, I get along with everybody. I have business all over the world. I know so many of the people in the audience. And by the way, I'm a self-funder. I have my wife and I have my son. That's all I have. I don't have them. So let me just tell you, I get along with everybody, which is my obligation to my company, to myself, etc. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced the president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
But so you still think he should be impeached?
I think it's my turn, isn't it? You do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied. Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass
Okay,
destruction.
all right. Governor Bush. When a member on the stage's brother gets attacked, the brother gets to respond.
I get to do it 5 or 6 times or just once responding to that? So here's the deal. I'm sick and tired of Barack Obama blaming my brother for all of the problems that he's had. And frankly, I could care less about the insults that Donald Trump gives to me. It's blood sport for him. He enjoys it, and I'm glad he's happy about it. But I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind.
There is nothing the political establishment will not do, no lie that they won't tell, to hold their prestige and power at your expense. And that's what's been happening. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. As an example, just one single trade deal they'd like to pass involves trillions of dollars controlled by many countries, corporations, and lobbyists. For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat, like they haven't seen before.
Yep.